Welcome, traveler. Whatever happens, you may think it all a mere bad dream. Just go out and kill a few beasts. It's just what hunters do.
Hi, hello, and how's it going? It's me, Kainty, and if you're anything like me, you've probably been dying for anything Bloodborne related these days. I know I am.
I need it!
And once even a sliver of anything Bloodborne is mentioned, you start frothing at the mouth like a rabid animal, only to end up feeling like a clown once you realize Sony has played you once again. Trust me, I know the feeling all too well. But we're not here to wallow in our delusional hopes that Sony will finally come to their senses and release the sequel to Bloodborne, or an official PC port at the very least. We're here to find enjoyment in what the creative fans have been able to do with the IP, which brings me to the Graceborne mod for Elden Ring. Now, I've seen this mod in the past, but I was finally able to download it and play it through. And let me tell you, it definitely filled that Bloodborne itch without having to break out the old PS4. The mod basically overhauls the Elden Ring game and gives it that dark and sinister paint job. The Lands Between is now covered in endless night, with a majority of enemies now having new character models. And we're also given a variety of classic Bloodborne gear along with trick weapons and the mechanics we miss so dearly, like the rallying mechanic and the gun parry. It's a well-made mod and an easy recommendation. Though while playing it, I thought to myself, what if the hunter actually came to the Lands Between? And what would their reasoning be? So I got to work and sort of created a play-by-play of the events to come. So kick back and relax. In the Lands Between, Radahn has just been defeated by the Tarnished, and because of that, his hold on the stars is broken. Through this cataclysmic event, its effects ripple through the cosmos, attracting the attention of a Great One. Now becoming aware of this land teeming with life and a long history of powerful beings, this Great One seeks to rule over the Lands Between. Though its motivations are beyond our understanding, as with all Great Ones, we can suspect that this entity wishes to bear a child or have a surrogate, and to do so they would equally want to rid the Lands Between from the influence of all other entities, i.e. the Outer Gods. So what does it do? It comes to the Land Between and it observes and learns. It sees the Tarnished all vying to become Elden Lord, with one, your Tarnished, making the most progress. It also sees the truth behind Marika or Radagon, but its influences are blocked by the power of the Greater Will from controlling the current holder or holders of the Elden Ring. Wanting to strengthen its hold on these lands, this Great One shrouds the Lands Between in night and selects numerous beings to be its children, transforming them into insane abominations. This ultimately turns what was once the Lands Between into its dream, or a nightmare for the inhabitants. Now in a distant plane of existence, the hunter has traversed through Yharnam's land within the dream and has finally slayed a Great One. They then travel back to the hunter's dream, expecting once again to see Gehrman and the doll, only to find themselves awakening in the Lands Between. Though taken aback by this turn of events, they suspect that greater powers were involved, now equipped with more insight through their last vanquished prey. And they would be right. It would seem that the Great One here has not forgotten about their reach into Yharnam, and has also kept an eye on the hunter. Seeing how the hunter has slain another Great One has made this entity quite curious in their abilities, and it thinks to itself that this hunter could become its surrogate and take the mantle of Elden Lord, where it will watch over the Lands Between, sort of akin to Gehrman in the hunter's dream. And if this were to happen, this entity would then burrow its influence into the roots of the Erd Tree and spread its presence throughout the entirety of the lands between, thus erasing any and all other outer god influence. Okay, so now that we've covered the underlying details, let's look at the present state of the world. The hunter awakes in this new dream in a vast land of magic, order, and gods under the cover of night. Though reminiscent of the state of Yharnam, it's beyond different. And though their arrival is unexpected, the hunter finds that their presence has been acknowledged once a figure approaches them, claiming to be a finger maiden whose goal is to aid them on their journey. Believing all this to be a continuation of their hunt, the hunter moves forward and traverses the lands between, following the grace given through insight. Regardless of the sudden change in scenery, the hunter is nevertheless still a hunter. And what does a hunter do but slay beasts? They cut down waves of this new breed of enemy, spilling blood wherever the moonlight shines. From the green fields of Limgrave to the putrid scarlet rot-infested lands of Caelid, the hunter leaves behind a bloody trail as they make their way to the capital city of Leyndell. Though clueless about the current status quo of this foreign environment, they understand there is something significant regarding a position known as Elden Lord. And from the words of the Finger Maiden and through the subconscious influence of the Great One, the hunter feels compelled to take this position if it were to put an end to the endless night, and thus the dream. Like mentioned before, the situation is reminiscent of Yharnam in the sense that the hunter is still being used as a sort of puppet, for purposes out of their own understanding. Eventually, the hunter is able to persevere through the onslaught of foes standing in their way, those of which are the likes of demigods and formidable beings. And little does the hunter know they've been following the same path as the Tarnished. They have survived through the dungeons, obtained the two halves of the Dectus medallion, bested the likes of Morgoth, and clawed their way up the mountaintop of the Giants. And now near the Erd Tree, the hunter stands face to face with the Fire Giant. And after a tumultuous battle, the hunter finally slays the giant and uses the flame to burn the Erd Tree. Having now committed this sacrilegious act, the hunter falls asleep and wakes up in Farum Azula, a dream within this dream, if you will, kind of like the Nightmare Frontier in Bloodborne. But in this instance, they are met with the sight of a crumbling city in the sky with beastmen roaming and lurking through its ruins. Once again, the hunter travels forward and cuts down those in their path, each new foe testing the resolve. Eventually, the hunter approaches a rather twisted and demented version of Malekith, and we get another glimpse of how the Great One is affecting those in this dream. Almost as an act of mercy, the hunter puts down the beast, releasing him to death's embrace and from the grasp of the Great One. And with this, the hunter leaves the realm of Farum Azula and wakes up to the city of Leyndell, covered in ash, the result of a cindering Erd Tree. The hunter feels the end is near and marches up the steps to confront the one who blocks their path to the Elden Ring, the previous holder of the Elden Lord title, Godfrey. Still exuding a golden aura, Godfrey fights the hunter with a sense of honor and humility until he feels the battle slipping away. He then sheds his golden rays and his beast regent Siraj to unleash his inner warrior, Hoarah. Seeing his ferocious and unquenched thirst for battle, the hunter is reminded of their past account with Father Gascoigne, two beings fighting against an inner turmoil until pushed to the edge, one being the savagery of a warrior's heart while the other the scourge of the beastly plague. And just like that instance, the hunter prevails and ventures forward now that the thorns blocking the entrance into the tree have been seared away. Stepping through, we now realize the Greater Will's grip on the bearer of the Elden Ring has weakened throughout the dream as Radagon has changed quite dramatically in appearance. Now adorning black armor and a new weapon, the Titan approaches the hunter before the two are locked in battle. What would then seem like an endless brawl would later come to an end as the hunter strikes down Radagon. Bloodied and battered, the hunter thinks this would be the end until the true form of the Elden Ring reveals itself. A massive creature covered in exposed bone and flesh, lacking its once godly appearance, now shows the sinister effects of the Great One. Its stature is foreboding, and its power certainly puts the hunter in awe. What they now see before them is the amalgamation of the Elden Beast with the Great One that's been the cause behind this whole dream. Unwilling to succumb to its influence and knowing this is the end, the hunter wipes the blood off their blade and confronts the monster, willing to risk it all. The Eldritch Beast charges forward and the two engage in a battle, forever changing the fate of the lands. Now, I wasn't sure about how I truly wanted this to end, as there are numerous endings I could picture, but the one I decided to go with is the piercing of the veil. Here, I'm going a bit off script and creating a what-if situation, as in what if the hunter slays the Elden Beast, or Great One, and decides not to mend the Elden Ring nor become Elden Lord. The hunter goes against the plans of the Great One and lets the lands continue as they are. They watch the everlasting veil of night finally dissipate as the sun rises. And for a second before the hunter is taken from Lands Between, they see our Tarnish through the veil, standing before Radagon's body, acknowledging the hunter. Then the dream is broken. The Lands Between goes back to normal, as if everything was just a nightmare with no trace of the Great One's meddling. And as for the hunter, they return back to Yharnam and awaken to see the sunrise. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you. I really appreciate you sticking around. And if you enjoyed what you watched, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I love making narrative type videos like this, and subscribing will keep you notified when I drop more content. But if not now, maybe later, maybe down the road. Just know there's more videos to come, so I'll see you soon.